If you're aiming to become full stack developer in 2022, in this video, I'm going to tell you in detail what are the right steps you have to take. I have discussed with the people who are already working in the industry. I'm also going to share my experience also. And in detail, I'm going to discuss how you can become a full stack developer so you can get job ready. So first of all, let's try to understand who exactly is the full stack developer. So you have to understand a person who is capable of doing multiple things for a company. Now, I'm not telling you that you have to become a multitasker, which is a wrong word if I may. What you have to become is a person who is capable of doing multiple things. So a simple scenario, let's consider an application like Instagram, if I may. So Instagram has two parts. One is front end, one is back end. I get whatever the spelling is. And finally, we have database. Okay, so Instagram has these three variants, if I may: front end, back end, and a database. Now, just imagine if you are the person who is the owner of Instagram, you're getting three persons. One person is saying I can do front end, one person is saying I can do back end, and one person is saying I can manage the database for you guys. And there is a person who walks in and he says, I can manage all these three things for you. Who would you hire? Would you hire three people or would you hire just one single person? And if your answer is correct, you would be hiring one single person for a very specific reason. You don't want multiple people to mess up the code, which is a reality you should check. And I have also discussed with the industry experts, and this is what they are saying. The scenario for hiring full stack developer is increasing for a very specific reason. They want quality work. They don't want quantity of work, they want quality of work, and that can be provided by a full stack developer only, not just anyone. So in short, if I may, this is the job of a full stack developer: to manage their front end, back end at minimum. And obviously, like if you are capable of doing the database management, obviously this depends upon company to company, but it is expected that you should be able to handle database also. You should be able to run the queries. You should be able to do a lot of stuff related to database so that it does not become a headache for the company. Okay, now let's break and try to understand what exactly is your role or work when we talk about front end in full stack development. I want to mention again, this video is in detail how you can become a full stack developer, not just a front end developer, back end developer, or maybe database administrator. So first thing, if we talk about front end, basically whatever is visible to the user is what front end is. If you're watching this video on YouTube, probably you're watching this video on desktop, or maybe you're watching this video on your mobile phone. Below there you can see a subscribe button. Below there you can see skill nagar. Below there you can see comment section. What is this? This is something which is visible to the user. User can interact with element. If you're going to click on the subscribe button, you will be subscribed to our channel. If you're going to click on the channel name, you can see all the videos we have posted. So you're basically interacting with all the elements which are available in the application of Android, or I should say web page of the YouTube. Now what is happening when you're interacting? It is giving you a response. Like let's say if you're going to click on a particular link, you're going to that particular page. So this is where a front end developer is. He's going to design the UI. Again, I'm saying design the UI. He's going to make sure that the UX is good. I'm not going to say perfect because the job of a UX developer is totally different. Then finally, you have to make sure the functionality is working. A simple example, let's say you want to create a new Instagram account. And if you're going to type Facebook, if you're going to type Meta, it should respond that this particular username is already taken, this particular email address is already taken. If this is the kind of response you're receiving, you understand, okay, I cannot make account based on this particular details which I have provided. And this is where front-end developer works. They give the response to the user so that they can either interact with it, or they can understand, okay, what is the problem which is happening with the application and what next step I should take. Okay, the next component is backend. What is the role of backend? A very simple example I want to give. You have faked your ID. You have faked your voter ID, if I may. And you go to a polling booth and you said, hey, I would like to cast my vote because that is my birthright. And the person saw your voter ID and he found, okay, it looks genuine to me and I think you can go there and vote. But what happens? there is a second security who is going to actually type in your number and is going to verify if your number on the voter ID is correct or not, does it exist in the database or not. And obviously if that is not going to exist, they are going to say, hey, this is a forged ID, with this particular ID you cannot cast your vote. So this is what a backend developer does. Whatever data is coming from the front end, whatever is happening in the server, this is your job to process it, manage it, and make sure that it is up to the standards which are maintained or followed by the industry, or I should say the company. A simple scenario I would be saying, user has sent an anonymous email. Again, they are sending the email like, let's say, avinash@google.com. Now obviously a user can put anything there, but at the backend we have to check, do I want this user to actually create an account with this particular email? If you want to verify this story, I will give you a simple scenario. You can search google.com was sold to a person because of this issue. They were not able to verify if the person actually has the I should say ownership of having a google.com domain or not. There was a huge news story there. So you should understand, this is where a backend developer comes in. Another example, you upload a photo on Instagram. It processes that photo, it reduces the quality of the photo, and it makes sure that it is loading faster. So this happens in the backend, and this is where your job is, to process the data in the backend, or I should say at the server level. And this is what you would be doing in the backend. This is a very gist of it. The last part in the full stack development is database administration. Now I would say this is not the integrated part, but I have talked to few industry experts who are actually working in a company. They say if someone has this kind of skill, we give them, we tend to be more towards them, or I should say we tend to hire them because they have an extra skill which is obviously required, because since you're working as a full stack developer, you have end-to-end knowledge. Now what is your job here? Your job is to make sure whatever queries are running, they're running efficiently, because obviously if you can save your company around 5% of CPU usage, you can save your company huge amount of money. You can use your brain, you can use your creativity to actually process the data which is going to the database or coming out from the database. You're going to structure the database so that it is efficient for the longer run. You have to make sure that the security of the database is intact. Not everyone has the access of 100% of the data. So you have to understand these kind of things are sort of done by a database administrator. Again, I want to mention, this can be an optional part for you. This can be an optional part for you. It varies from a company to company, but if I'm aiming to become a full stack developer, I would say this is also one skill I should possess, because obviously this is expected in many companies. Okay, now the question is, I want to become a full stack developer, and Avinash, you have not yet told me how I'm going to become that. So now we are going to discuss what is exactly the right roadmap. If you have seen hundreds and hundreds of videos, obviously I'm not going to comment on their content, but this is the roadmap I'm going to share from my personal experience, the mistakes I have made towards becoming a developer, or I should say full stack developer. Secondly, I had a discussion with various people who are already working in the industry. You can go check out various interviews which I have taken. There they have also shared whatever learnings they have, and obviously I'm in constantly touch with various colleagues of mine who are already working in the industry. So this is in just, I would say, an experience of around 30 odd years. Including mine and the people who are already working. So right now this roadmap will come from a 30 years of experience, combined experience if I may, from all the people who are working as a full stack developer in various companies. So what is the first thing you have to learn? The first thing you should be focusing on is Git. Don't confuse it with GitHub. It is Git. It is source control management, or I should say version control. This gives us an ability to actually version control our source code. You can go to any company. And if you don't have this basic skill, it will be almost impossible for them also to actually plug you as a full stack developer or anything. This is the bare minimum, I would say. Now, many people will not include this step because it is very simple to do, but this is required. Whatever industry you're working, whichever company you're going, if they have a certain standard, If they are following what are the standards of programming, they are following whatever is being followed in the industry. If they are not using Git, that is not the right company for you to work. So the first thing you should be learning is Git. Now, how much time it is going to take you for learning Git? I would say around 5 days at max. It is not a very difficult tool to learn, but it is one of the most vital tool to learn. Is it a programming language? No, Git is not a programming language. It is a concept with which we can actually work in a big team and still maintain the code, because obviously once the code is shipped to the customer, if it is not working, ultimately the development team is responsible for that. So you have to make sure that this is the number one tool you should be learning in your journey. Okay, now when we talk about learning front end, there are so many things, if I'll be very honest. And what I have done, I have given few things which are quite important, with which actually you can learn them. Okay, now I've not included everything because obviously this video is going to become very big. So first of all, when we talk about becoming a front-end developer, you have to learn the skill of HTML, you have to learn the skill of CSS, you have to learn the skill of JavaScript, which is bare minimum. After that, optionally, you can learn ECMAScript 6, but I would say don't keep it optional. Learn it. It's a good skill. It's a new form of JavaScript, and this is going to actually help you become a better full-stack developer. Then comes TypeScript. Why TypeScript? Majority of JavaScript frameworks, if I talk about, are leveraging the power of TypeScript, and TypeScript is one of the beautiful thing which has happened in the JavaScript world. So again, I would say you should learn this. Again, this is an optional step, but I would suggest you should do. Finally, after sort of upgrading your skills, next step is learning React, Angular or Vue.js. Any one of them will work. React is quite popular, Angular is quite popular, Vue.js is actually gaining, I would say, popularity. But if you can actually make your skill set as a React developer, Angular developer or Vue developer, it is going to work irrespective of you. Okay, the simplest one for you to learn is Vue.js. The hardest one is Angular, because Angular is one dedicated framework especially for front end. It is one of the most powerful framework, at least I have seen, which has worked in the industry. And obviously if we talk about React, React is just a Vue only framework, which is just a Vue library, if I may, which is just available for the front end. So these are the three frameworks I would say you should be focusing on. Okay, any one of them will work, but if you have all the skill set of all these three frameworks, you're going to shine. Okay, I've done the Git, I have done front end. What about the backend? In backend, again, I want to remind, backend is where you process your data so that you can follow the standards which are supposed to be followed by the company. And obviously to do that, you need to learn a language. What are those languages? You can either go for JavaScript, you can go for PHP, you can go for Python, you can go for Ruby. Now there are other languages are also available, but again, just to make sure that the video is in detail and as well as in short, I've just mentioned 4 of them. Now if you want to go with JavaScript, you can learn the framework. Now you have to learn the framework also. Why? Because majority of the company, irrespective of the size, are using one framework or the other for a very specific reason. Frameworks give them a leverage, which is often not available when you're doing everything from scratch. What do I mean? Like you will just start coding everything, because frameworks have all these standards, and if you want to know more about frameworks, we will make a separate video on that. Now if we talk about, if you're learning JavaScript, you can learn the framework of Express.js. Obviously just make sure that you're noting down. If you want to go with PHP, you can go for Laravel. If you want to go with Python, you can go for Django. If you want to go for Ruby, you can go for Ruby on Rails. Now, if I have to give one conclusion of future, let's say you are graduating in 2025, you're graduating in 2024, or probably 23 as well, or maybe you're just learning your full stack development because you want to switch your career. What is one language you should master? In that case, I would say you should master JavaScript. Why? Because JavaScript is available in the front end, JavaScript is also available in the back end. that is going to make you an Avenger kind of a developer, because you have the strongest skill set which is required in the industry. So if one language you want to become, like if you want to hone one language, JavaScript is that language for you. So if you want to become a backend developer, obviously JavaScript, PHP, Python, Ruby are there. And if you want to go with the framework, Express is there, Laravel is there, Django is there, and Ruby on Rails is there. If one language, if I would say, it is JavaScript, you should go ahead with. Finally, the optional part, if I may, is database administrator, which I would recommend you should become, because this is going to give you a leverage over the people who have just 3 skill set. Front end, back end, that is, I'm sorry, not 2 skill set, front end and back end. Obviously, Git is required for everyone. Database administration simply says, okay, if I'll give you a database, you will be able to manage it. You don't need a special person. I don't have to hire another person who is going to manage it for me. Now, I want to be very specific. Being a full stack developer does not mean that you're managing multiple jobs, multiple roles. It is just that you're efficient. You know end to end what is supposed to be done. So if we talk about becoming a database administrator, these are the 2 kind of databases you should be actually learning, if I may. One is relational databases, which obviously has MySQL as an option for you and MS SQL as an option for you. If you want to go for a free version, go for MySQL, because this is available for free. MS SQL is also available for free, but it is actually has an enterprise level stuff. A lot of things are there. So like if you're just starting right now, MySQL is one of the best thing you can get started with. Secondly, you should not skip NoSQL. The world is moving towards JavaScript, and you have to understand everybody wants to leverage the power of JavaScript. So comes the form of NoSQL databases, which look like JSON notation, if I may. Again, I'm not saying that they are JSON based, but they look like at least JSON. So if you want to leverage NoSQL based database, MongoDB is one such option available for you. So you should use this because you can learn this. A lot of things are happening in the industry around these. So again, in the end, I would say that this is what you should be leveraging for becoming a database administrator. Okay, so that is it for the becoming, or I should say roadmap of becoming a full stack developer. I have explained in detail, but if you have some question, and if you're looking for some virtual internship related to full stack development, we have given a link in the description. Just mention your details and someone from our team will reach you and they will assist you. So that is it for this video. I just want to understand if you have any confusion, any doubt, put them in the comment. If you need a career guidance, obviously in that case, there is a link in the description of this video or also in the comment section. Click that link, fill in the details, and someone from our team will make sure that your career doubt is clear, because this is what we stand for. So thank you very much for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one.